Today we're going to be making a city, a bit like this one. As you can see, it's got buildings, all different shapes and sizes, there's windows on there. Now this mostly uses the skills that you've already got, as you'll see, and there's a few extras thrown in as well. So let's get started. First thing I want to do, Command N, and just reload the startup file, start with the cube. And I'm actually going to delete the cube, so I'm just going to hit X and click delete. And I'm going to create a flat plane. And I'm now going to press S to scale, and I want to scale this until it's about the same size as that grid that we can see, so about there. And now it's time to go into edit mode, and I'm going to go back over to the tools section here, and I'm looking for this one, subdivide. So when you click subdivide, it's going to divide up the face that's selected, and as you can see, it's put it in face mode. There is at the moment just one big face. So if I click subdivide once, it divides that into 4. Now it's going to divide each of those, and again, and I'm going to do one more. So that's probably okay for yours. If you wanted to, you could go for one more like that, but I wouldn't click it any more than that, because if you click it too many times, it will add so many faces that Blender will actually struggle to cope with it all, and it can crash Blender. So that is probably about enough. Now it's time to start creating the buildings. So what you don't want to do is hit extrude at this point, because all the faces are selected, so it would extrude all of them. We don't want to do that. Undo, Command Z. What you want to do is right click just one of the faces, and what we're trying to do here is select the base of the building. So I'm going to create a building over in this corner. Remember, you can hold shift and use the wheel click to move around like that. So I'm now going to hold shift and right click so I can multi-select. And let's go for just a nice simple square based building like that. And now I can use E to extrude. So lift that up to about there. And from here you just need to get creative. It's really up to you how you go about making your building look more interesting. For this one, after pressing E to extrude, I'm going to hold shift and deselect some of those faces and then extrude again. And now I'm going to select just these 4 and extrude again. There you go. I've created a very simple building. I'm going to spin round and have a go at doing another one in this corner. For this one, I'm going to use some more of our skills. So I'm going to start, let's go for something a bit different this time. Let's go for this sort of shape. E to extrude. Now from here, instead of pressing E to extrude straight away, I'm going to tap I to inset. Just a tiny inset like that. And then extrude again. And then I to inset, extrude again. And it creates this effect of the building, each layer of the building being a little bit smaller. Like that. And now, up at this point, I think I might select just these 3 and extrude those up. And then maybe I go to this one here. And a little tip here, by the way, if you're struggling to zoom in on a face that you've got selected, I want that face right there to be in the middle. What you can do, very handy tip this, if you click on any face in Blender and then press the full stop, but make sure it's the one over on the right hand side of the keyboard, on the numerical keypad. It's next to the enter key, in between 0 and enter. You press that and it zooms in on that particular face, and you can now rotate around that face as well. Very, very handy. So I could right click all the way over there, tap that full stop button, and there we go. I zoom right in on that. So actually the one that I wanted was way up here, so I'm going to right click that, full stop, zoom in, and now I'm going to use inset just on that. Be very careful not to cross it over like that. Let's go for about there, extrude that up, and maybe S to scale it in, create like a point on the top. There we go, that's my second building done. Now they don't all have to be big tall buildings. You might want to make some that are maybe wider and not quite as tall. So what you can do, let's select quite a few this time, like this. And for this one, I'm going to extrude and then scale it in straight away. And then maybe I select that one, that one, that one, and that one, and extrude those up. Maybe they could be like chimneys or something. Then maybe I could do another building over here. And if I wanted to, I could do something interesting like this. I'm going to select the same over here. You'll see why in a minute. I'm going to extrude those up, maybe up again, maybe up again. And you could make things a bit interesting, just extrude a few more up. You could, for example, select maybe these two here and extrude them across to meet the other side. Maybe creating like a bit of a walkway. And then you could keep adding detail. So let's get these ones here. Extrude those up. I think I might insert both of these. So remember, if you tap I to insert, it will do both at the same time. Like that. So let's extrude those up. Maybe insert a bit more this time. Extrude up again. There you go. So I've created a interesting kind of double building over there. Now let's have a go at doing a big skyscraper in the middle. Now I'm going to show you another way to do selecting here. So we know that we can right click to select, and you can hold shift and right click to multi-select. Well, here's another way to do selections. First of all, let's learn about the A key. So when you tap A on its own, it will select either all or none. That's very useful because if you're going to do a new selection, it's a good idea to make sure that nothing is selected. So A a couple of times, nothing is now selected. Instead of right clicking, tap C on the keyboard. Now this is the shortcut for circle select, and you can see that my cursor is now this little circle. If you scroll the mouse wheel, you can change the size of the circle. And that circle, if you start clicking with the left mouse, left click here, you can basically paint to create a selection like this. And if you hold the shift key, it will unpaint. So this is actually really useful if you've got a lot of faces that you want to select. So I might select all of these and then just right click to finish using the circle select. So now I'm going to create my skyscraper. So I'm going to E to extrude, and I think what I'm going to do to make my skyscraper is I'm going to deselect all of these. Could use C and shift to do that, right click, and then E to extrude. And now I think I'll use C again with shift, get rid of those, right click, E to extrude, and then I might come over this side and do the same thing here. C, hold shift, right click, E to extrude. And then I'm going to finish up, remember that full stop? Finish up with these four here. Let's extrude that up. Maybe inset, extrude, and scale. Okay, so there's my huge skyscraper. Now let's say that you want to put some windows on your skyscraper. Well, the first thing I want to do is add some more faces. So I can use loop cut and slide for that. So let's use loop cut. I'm going to put one there. Remember, Control R is the shortcut for that. Let's put one there. Let's put one there. And maybe let's put 3 slices there. So back into face mode. Now I've got all these extra faces. So let's go ahead and make these look like windows. So what you want to do is select all of them first of all. So I'm going to use circle select for this. So A to make sure nothing's selected. C, and I'm going to grab all of these faces that I can see that are on the sides of the buildings. And you want to be careful not to get any of the ones that are on the top. So I don't want those faces, for example. So I'm going to keep selecting. Obviously at the moment I'm only doing 2 sides because I can't see the other sides. Like that. spin this round and I'll get these two as well. So C. Okay, like that. Right click. So now that all of those are selected, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to tap I, and then again. So that's double inset, double I. That then insets every single face that's selected individually. And I want about there. So that's created all of the faces. Now the next thing I want to do is extrude all of these in. But if I tap E to extrude at the moment, you'll see it just kind of does this weird mess. So I'm going to undo that. What we want to do to extrude these in, we want to change this option down here. And we want this to be individual origins. And if I now tap E to extrude, you'll see that I can actually push them all in at the same time, like that. And I'm going to pop that back onto what it was to begin with, which is medium point. And you can see that now all of those have been extruded the same amount. Now if you wanted to, you could have just done one side at a time, and then you wouldn't have had to use this other option down there. But you can see now my building has got separate windows. And really that's all there is to it. So experiment using subdivide to start with, and then using all the different skills that we've learnt, extrude and scale, and some loop cutting as well, and see whether you can create a city.